Should I bring the egg or leave it there until afterwards, or can it show?
I can do that first.
Okay.
Get a spoon for me?
Oh.
There's a spoon over in that bowl.
I have a spoon here. I don't know. Which spoon is it? Stainless steel. I don't know if it's stainless steel. What is here?
I see a big spoon over there. I want that big spoon in the fruit bowl.
These kind of spoons won't work when I get home.
It's a little, well, it might work. It's just I'm used to a big spoon. I know just how hard to hit.
Oh, it takes practice.
Well, sometimes you can crack a little fast, a little too much.
And the edge of the spoon.
No, you'll see.
All right, here.
Give me one egg.
Yeah.
Wait till everybody's here. Okay. To make an egg high fast, because you can have an egg a long time. I've had eggs up to 6 months that never went high, if it's in a cool house. So the way to get it is make sure to get some oxygen gets into it. But you don't want to break a big crack in it, because it makes it very stinky and hard to get. And when you go to break it open, it's all over the place. So what you want to do is get hairline cracks in that you almost can't see, unless you've got a magnifying glass. The way to do that is put it up here, and then tap it with the back rounded end of a spoon. Now you hear that crack. Faint crack. You can't see any crack on there, but it's cracked. Okay? Another area. Cracked. Okay?
How many choices you have to do it?
Well, depends on how quick you want it to.
Hi, thanks.
That one's already cracked. Yeah, I cracked it too much. There. Because now it's coming out. That means it's going to get really black. And that's okay. That's the way the Asians eat it. And anyway, you just put it back in your carton and just let it. I do it at least 3 places on an egg.
How long does it take?
It can take about 3 to 4 weeks. If it's in a warm place.
On the top shelf in the cupboard?
It pre-digests, just like yogurt and kefir pre-digests.
And you're using it specifically at what time? For what purpose?
To feed the brain and nervous system.
Is it already so easily digested that you don't need it?
Yes, but it won't get to the bowel.
Oh.
See, so the bowel, the bacteria that's in the bowel feeds the brain and the nervous system. So it gets the remains of whatever's left. So your brain and nervous system always depend upon the food that goes through the very last of the system. So almost all the best fats are already gone. Everything's already digested and gone. So the way you get some bacteria that pre-digest your protein and your fats into your brain and nervous system as soon as you eat, so it doesn't have to wait to get to the bowel, is you make it decay on its own. Its own bacteria will break it down the way that your intestinal colon bacteria would, so you feed your brain and your nervous system. That's why eating high meat turns in chronic depressed people into laughing, giggling people in 10 to 20 minutes after they eat high meat. Well, the high egg's the same way.
What's it going to look like when you open it?
It depends.
Is it going to smell in the cupboard?
It's usually very runny. Usually the yolk is mixed to some extent with the egg white. If you let it go a very long time, it could turn black.
Still eat it?
Oh, yeah. That's even the best, because that means it's all completely digested.
Oh, I always throw those out.
Eggs are eggs for really long, and they're considered an aphrodisiac or something.
That's the Chinese, the century egg, for like 25 years, and that's all black or white
It's
inside.
like powder when you open it.
Yeah, well, almost. Yeah, sometimes it can be hard, depending upon the egg and what soil they put it in to help it. Because when they bury it in soil like that, and the bacteria starts the predigestion, and then your fungus will finish it. That's why when you open it, you've got powder. It's a fungal powder, whether black or white, you know. But it's an aphrodisiac. They cost about $1,000 a piece.
What's that, the black egg and...
The 25-year-old eggs, $1,000 a piece. But, you know, it's like Viagra for 30 days. There's a lot of elderly people in Japan and China and Taiwan and Asia where they eat those eggs. They buy them and eat them.
Wow. But when they make those, they're not cracked. They just put them in the ground?
They bury them in clay or some other type of earth, spinning pot what they're trying to generate. But they're up to 25 years old.
And can we also make them without cracking them?
Yeah, but they'll take forever unless you're living in a tropical environment where the temperature never drops below 80 degrees.
So keep it on the top covered and it'll help get
Yeah.
faster.
Yeah.
Wherever it's warm.
Because I've got some eggs in a cupboard that I haven't touched for a couple of years just because when I did touch them, they're... But I kept them for some reason.
Oh, didn't go for them now. Yeah.
Yeah.
You may have very little, I mean, if the moisture is completely that
They're so
old.
light.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're probably already evaporated.
Yeah.
See, when they bury them in the ground, they don't lose their moisture.
But are they still good, though, even though...
Yeah, but you're not going to get a lot out of it, you know, I mean, because most of it's already evaporated.
You have to be careful with how many you eat. And like how,
No.
No. You won't detox.
For example, there's a movie called The Last Dance, and it's about these 3 African tribe members who are, I forgot the name of the tribe, and it's a documentary on them. The country, since the British and American governments are now running that country, have blocked them from hunting on their own land. It's part of genocide. So they're not, and these were lifetime hunters. They've claimed that their land is game reserve. So there's no more hunting. So now they have to live on aid food, which is powdered milk and grains, you know, flour. So it's really substandard diet. But it shows the last day or the last 5 days that they're allowed to hunt on this land. And they follow 3 of these hunters. And the way they hunt is that they track an antelope or a large deer animal, and they'll track them and outrun them. Incredible. Can you imagine tracking a deer till he falls and can't move again? And they go strong and hard. They're not running, but except at the end, they'll run and stop him. They'll run him till he can't breathe. But this film is about that last hunt. And on the 3rd day of their hunt, they run into, I think it's a rhinoceros. I couldn't tell because it was half rotten and half eaten. And it was a big animal. Could have been a water buffalo, something pretty big. And they chase the vultures away, and they eat this rotten meat. Stinky foul, and they're talking about how good this stuff is. They'll catch the deer the next day. They won't have to go 5 days. They'll go 4 days because they found this banquet of the greatest food that gives them the most energy. And they eat this. You see them eating like pounds of this rotten meat. And the next day, in the morning, they're right on that deer. Just like that.
Right on me, they're running after it?
Yeah, they ran. They call one guy the runner. And he just runs down that deer and the antelope, and he's got, the poor antelope can't move, and he just keeps circling to keep him, show him that he's trapped and he can't get out. Then the other 2 catch up, and then they, of course, kill him and then take him back to the tribe.
What's the name
This
of
is
the movie?
on the YouTube?
What's the name of the movie?
It's called The Last Dance.
Can you say
It's a documentary.
Is it on YouTube?
I have a fellow from South Africa, a patient, sent it to me. It's a DVD, too.
Oh, okay.
You get a
Type it in,
DVD
maybe
form.
order it.
You could probably order it, yeah. But normally they cook their meat. And boy, when they found the rotten stuff, no way, said, you don't cook this.
They normally cook their meat, though.
They normally cook their meat, but when they find the rotten meat, they don't cook it.
What does
you're used to eating like cooked meat and everything, and you try to switch over to
You might have a little diarrhea for a day or two.
In the book Aajonus, you have all the symptoms and what causes it, except for intestinal cramping. What causes that? I get that a lot.
The intestinal cramping.
Yes. It's
That's,
the worst symptom I ever get.
yeah, but that's usually mercury or some other toxin leaving to the intestines.
Lovely.
So you have to eat little pieces of cheese,
I do.
every 30, 45 minutes. And that should arrest that.
Yeah.
You still will have a little cramping as it passes out of the intestinal wall into your stomach.
No, it's all in the lower abdomen area.
It's down here.
Yeah.
So that's small intestine.
And around the navel.
That's small intestine.
Yeah.
It isn't the bowel. The bowel's over here.
No.
Small intestine. So when those poisons are passing through, they may cause spasms, cramps in the intestines.
It's the worst symptom. I hate it. Of all the symptoms I've gotten, that's the worst. I have it now, right now.
eat some cheese.
Yeah, I will. I have a neighbor boy, he has Asperger's. So I'm asking for him, what would be the best food?
I'd have to find out what causes
What did
his
you say?
Asperger's.
Pardon me?
I would have to see him to tell what's causing
What did
his.
you say?
Okay.
Because different things can cause it.
When I showed him the raw meat, the red meat I had, and I was eating it, oh, I want some.
Who said that?
Yeah?
His body knew. My neighbor boy.
Oh.
Yeah, he knew. So, and he wants to know when your next visit is.
Visit where?
Here.
Oh, probably sometime mid-March.
Okay. Mid-March.
So about a month, less than a month. I mean, a little bit more than a month away. I'll do it before I go to South Africa. So I leave I think it's the 20th of March, South Africa.
Is there a big following there?
It's growing. And then I go from there to Australia. That's even bigger.
And is the the coconut oil you get from Wilderness Family, is that still good? No, I had a feeling. Why?
It's a little higher temperature.
You know, because they advertise cold pressed and below a certain, I think it was below 98 or 98.
It's 103 degrees. I think
103, yeah.
I know you can
It's
have.
supposed to be 96.
Okay. So
But-
the cold pressed one, don't do it.
Well, it's just not as good,
No.
you know.
Well, you said the same thing to me. Max's can go over in 97.
We're talking about the oil, or are we talking about the coconut cream?
Coconut
Yeah.
cream.
Two different things. He was
What
talking
about-
about the oil, right? You were
Yes.
talking about the oil, yes.
What about pulling? I read a book on it. Pulling, they recommend oil. Would you recommend using coconut cream instead of the oil?
Well, that is an oil. Oh, the coconut cream for you can oil pull with coconut cream.
You can what?
You can oil pull. That means you're mixing oil or coconut cream in your mouth, and that draws a lot of the poisons that dump from the brain out the gums. That is collected in the gums during the night can be pulled out with oil. You just have to keep the oil or coconut cream in your mouth and swish it around for. Some people say it doesn't work unless you do a whole 30 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
But that's people I think are on a bad diet. And I find when I pull, it takes no more than about 12 minutes.
12 minutes.
But most people, that aren't on a good diet have to do a full 30 minutes.
What's for mercury in the gums too? Like that's the main thing in the gums. The mercury in the gums.
Mercury, not only for amalgams that you've had, but when the brain dumps, it's dumping every day, every minute out the gums, whatever poisons are in the brain. And because the nerves use a lot of metallic minerals to conduct electricity and transfer light.
Wow.
Most of your metal is in the brain. And when it dumps out the tongue, the salivary glands, and the gums. That's what creates dental decay. The metal sits on the teeth. People don't brush their teeth. It sits there. It works, damages the dentine. Then the bacteria comes to eat the damaged dentine, not the bacteria's problem. It's the plaque that stays on your teeth with metals in it. especially mercury. So if you oil pull, that'll draw all that's collected in the gums overnight. So it's not dripping into your food every time you're chewing.
So no need to do it at night. Just morning.
Well, morning's the best time.
Yeah.
If you want to do it at night, you can, but I'm not sure how much that's going to do. Unless you've gone the whole day without eating, then it probably has maybe collected some. Then oil pull in.
In the morning, before your juice?
Before everything.
And what's the minimum amount of...
Well, I mean, you could have cheese, but then oil pull after you cheese.
So are you saying we use metals to see light? Were you saying that we have used the metals in our brain to see light?
Transfer light. We have light that makes communication in our bodies.
Okay. So
Not just
metal,
electricity.
is that like negative heavy metals or positive? Is there a difference?
Just remember that when metals are properly absorbed in the food with the other ions, all the other minerals and vitamins, none of them are free radicals. They're all utilizable to benefit. Even though that if it's mercury or iron or lead, no matter what it is, in trace amounts, they're beneficial. In anything that's industrially chemicalized and concentrated, it's free radical. It does heavy damage. A free radical, everybody knows what a free radical is? It's when you have atoms or molecules which have unpaired neutrons. So you've got a free radical neutron that's going around damaging everything it passes through. So to help neutralize that, you need things like, that's all in the new newsletter. This is that'll be coming out in a few days. But you use pineapple vinegar, coconut cream, berries, any of the chelators with those toxins, eggs, anything like that that has certain amino acids. So anyway, that's in the newsletter, all those ingredients. Anyway, mix those like in a sport formula, or I do it with my, when I'm not having a sport formula, I don't exercise, so sport formula for me is no big deal. So what I do is make a quart of a berry mixture instead of a sport formula. But that'll have whey and milk and almost the same ingredients that's in a sport formula, but I have blueberries or mixture of berries in there to chelate with heavy metals and toxins. And I put my vinegar, my lime juice, everything that's eggs, everything that's in sport formula. I just make it almost a smoothie.
You said you put eggs. You said from last week you had a mercury against mercury vaccines. Is this the same formula?
This is the formula, but with the coconut cream and the.
And you also say you put an egg in it too?
I put on mine. I put 4 eggs.
Oh,
but I'm making a quart there. The one I gave you is not a whole quart.
Well,
the one I gave at the last.
That was something else with the raspberries. That was for, you said, iron and
iodine.
Iodine.
And some other minerals, light-colored minerals.
What?
And for other light-colored minerals, even salt, sodium.
So we should do both then. Everyone has something.
No, you do one or the other. You don't do both.
Not on the same day.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Alternate.
You could alternate.
Do you have any more eye readings this evening open?
I can. Yeah.
I would like to.
It's it'll be at 7:15.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure, thanks.
I haven't seen you in how long, Jan?
Probably 2 years.
Only 2 years?
Why?
I thought it was longer.
You're the wife of Murray Gould?
No.
Oh,
No,
that's not Jan. Oh, no.
Your name is Jan, right?
Jennifer. Yeah.
Oh, close.
It's one of those J's, yeah.
No cigar.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go around. Question, Fred.
Okay, this is concerning weight loss. About a year and a half, I did a weight loss. Went down to started off about 225, 230, went down to 195, and just plateaued, so I stopped.
Yeah.
And then this time I did a weight loss. I was up to about 215, got to about 196, different scales, but got the flu, bad flu, so I stopped. So I started eating a lot. Question is that about the right weight for me to stop? And if I need to go lower, should I, now that the flu's almost over, should I go like...
How tall are you?
5'10".
Yeah, that'd be a minimum I go. I'm 5'8", and I go up to 190.
You go down to 190?
No, I go up to 190.
Oh, you go up to 190.
I don't have big shoulders like more normal men do. My shoulders are short, so they never developed like a man's, big shoulder man. My shoulders are almost the width of my hips, so I'm smaller framed than the normal guy. So when I'm at my lowest, I'm 175, 170 at my lowest. So I go up to 190.
What weight are you at now?
I'm about 180.
That's because you're saying you weigh more, though, because you're higher protein and you're not eating cooked fat, so you're more dense.
Yeah, I'm a lot more dense, yeah.
That's because you don't look that way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So...
Everybody on this diet, everything is more concentrated and dense. You don't have all that swelling, that other people have with their contaminated food, where the body's constantly inundating it with water, fluids, and gases. Because gases store throughout the body, not just in the bowels. When you have chemistry mixed, it's not right. You'll have gas all throughout the body, inside cells.
Wow.
So people can be absolutely huge and, be lightweight almost compared to me. When I was this size, after I started eating a lot of fats after chemo and radiation, I was about 147 pounds. And I had about a 31 waist. Right now I've got a 34 waist. But I was 147 pounds. Now if I'm down to a 30-inch waist, like when I leave Asia, because I actually work there, I actually physically get involved in digging and farming and stuff like that, swimming, in my lake, and riding my horse. And I work. Physical, it's the only sex in the farm can get me moving, physical. So, so I do lose weight there. I'll come down back about anywhere from a 30 to a 31-inch waist, but I'm still 170 pounds, and when I was that size before, I was 147. So you have to look at the difference in that. There's a huge weight difference on this diet. People become denser. Heavier. You're the same, huh?
Not me.
Oh.
I gained 45 pounds, more than that, and I've not been able to get rid of it. And I do the down diet.
Mm-hmm.
I can only stay on that for a little bit, and then I start cramping.
Yeah. Well, you're not ready. You've got too many
That's
toxins.
what I said.
Yeah, just remember that when you have a lot of toxins, like after chemo and radiation, I was... And there's nobody here as big as I was, but I was full, bloated, big, for many years. Many years I stayed that way. Especially when I finally started eating the meat, I could keep on more tissue. So, I was bubble-faced and everything. I still have a picture of it somewhere. I have everything. Well, I've lost a lot of weight since those injections, those forced injections in my arm when I was kidnapped in the hotel room. This arm, I just feel like it's going to fall off sometimes. It aches so bad right where they shot me here to here. So in the shoulder sometimes. That I've lost all that weight from that. I gained a lot when I broke this leg in the motorcycle accident. I had no cast, and I broke the tibias here. The femur sits on top of the tibia, and I broke all of the top part of the tibia. So it's splintered all over inside that joint. Plus the we call it the scapula, the patella. The patella shattered, and it split the tibia all the way down to the ankle in two. And it was at a wedge like this in the back. It was more open than the front. And they said I'd never walk again. And in 6 weeks I was walking. 6.5 weeks I was walking. 3 months later I was on what island is that? Antigua. And I ran a quarter of a mile full blast without even stopping.
Do you attribute that to just the diet, or did you do something extra?
Well,
Extra dairy?
Yeah, no, I put, I had made sure I had some pineapple every day to mend the bones. But, I had meat, wrapped around, because I took all the skin off the bone, half of the bone here, all of the bone here. You see, everything grew back. So all the skin was gone, all the way from here, all the way down, all the way, because I had sandals on and shorts, and a short sleeve shirt. So all the skin was gone. So I wrapped it in meat, and, skin was healed over in 12 days. But it took 6.5 weeks for my leg to mend enough to be able to walk on it without crutches.
Because you came here about 2 months after and were walking up the stairs.
Yeah. Oh, that was 2 months. That's what I'm saying. In 6.5 weeks, I was without crutches.
Are you without pain now, totally?
Well, when I had that accident, this tendon ripped up to here and this one ripped down to here, so they bubbled up like that. It only took as long as to heal the skin, those grew back down. But this one has a tendency to move back and forth over the patella, and it causes a snapping, sharp pain sometimes. But it's momentary. It's gone in a split second. So that's the only thing that I think it's too tight. And I didn't take care of it afterwards. I should have continued to put a hot water bottle on it, for probably another 3 or 4 weeks, and I didn't. So there's a little scar tissue in there, I think. So once in a while I'll remember to put some pineapple, on the skin and let that go down and break up some of the scar tissue. I can't feel it, but when I feel that snap on the patella, I can tell it's a little tight.
Would it help to put pineapple in your bath water and to get it
No.
out?
Just right
You've got to put it right on, because it'll just stay in the bath water.
So your skin's like in the, what, bromelain or what?
The bromelain, yeah.
Wow.
But it's gotten so much better now. I mean, I wasn't able to, because of all the particles that were in there, they wanted to open it up and cut me from here to here, and they wanted to go ahead and clean out that joint. And so that joint was pretty full of stuff. So my knee was like this even after it healed. So over the years, it's gone down to now it's almost exactly normal. See, this one is still, I can bend this one down still lower than this one. But it was up like this for many years. Now it's getting close. So it's still not cleaned out. That joint's still not completely clean.
It's like 3 years.
It's been 4 years, I guess. Yeah. 4 years.
Well, one last thing on that is, next time I do the weight loss, can I go below 195?
If you, let me tell you, when your body stops, it doesn't want to go any lower. Yeah.
Okay, so that's how you tell.
Yeah, but I mean, you can go, like I told Kathy this last time, to keep going on, because it was still summertime. So I just told her to continue it. But I told her after fall, then, go back to eating.
Okay.
So she lost more weight, but it took, maybe instead of 2 or 3 pounds a week, it was 1 pound, a half a pound a week that she lost. But when it stops, it stops.
How do you decide how low you should go?
Pardon?
How, since you're not going by normal standards, how do you decide where your weight should be?
That your body will tell you. If it won't lose any more, no matter you stay on that weight loss diet, Your body's not going to lose it.
So you just stop after how
Stop
long
at that.
on the weight loss diet? After a week or two? if it's
I
not
will
working?
usually within a week and you haven't lost anything.
Then that's time to...
That's about the time.
Then you put the dairy back in, or
Yep.
the rotation?
Steve.
So I've been doing the cheese throughout the day for like 3 or 4 months.
How
And
much a day? How
like every half hour, sometimes like in between meals, it's a little bit more frequent. And then just recently, I have had like no appetite for anything. I just feel like full. I almost feel like just so satiated with fat. It's just unbelievable. Because I have butter with that.
Oh, then don't.
Yeah.
Don't eat so much butter with it.
But I don't want to get constipated.
Then you put the suppository in.
Okay.
Just remember that when you start drying out from the cheese, the body is saying, oh, look at all that available fat in the cheese, but it isn't available because you don't have enzymes in it. So it's not, the body's going to hold on to it, try to get it, because that bowel has been starving. Your brain and nervous system has been starving all of your life. So it wants to hold on to it. So it's drier and drier and drier. And without the enzymes, it's just not going to do it very well.
Okay.
So you implant, the fresh butter, coconut cream, and dairy cream with just a tiny bit of honey, 3 tablespoons of each of those, and a 1/4 teaspoon of honey into a 4-ounce jelly jar. Shake that together, put it in a bowl of hot water enough to make your hand uncomfortable after 6 seconds to not burn it. So you eat too much of that dry stuff. So you let it in there for 4 or 5 minutes. You can take it out and have a bulb syringe. Now, the bulb syringes that they have very little, and that's not good enough. You need one you get a douche bag with one of those high things in it, that has the 3 and then all the little water jets inside. That's what you use. So you can get it high up into the sigmoid colon and let it out there.
What do you stick there?
Pardon?
With that piece, though, what's it attached to? Because normally the normal enema thing is a bag.
Yeah, but what you do is take a little bit of the hose, put that over your,
okay,
and then put your big long thing on that.
Well,
Yeah.
that's not what you used to suggest. You used to suggest them about
Yeah, but they don't have a long thing on it. A lot of people are having trouble getting it high enough up in there.
Yeah.
And when it's not high enough, it tends to keep coming out.
Well, it works for me.
It works for you? Good. Then you have a short rectal area. Some people have a very long rectal area.
How far is that going to get up into the large colon?
Well, what you do is you get on all fours and put it in, or if you're in the shoulder stand and you do it in the shoulder stand, then you don't have to move anywhere. You just keep your legs up in the air or put it down like this. If you put your legs down and your knees go up around your ears or even here, you're putting pressure on your intestines, not going to allow them to move very well. So your legs are up in the air more and your torso is straight with your hips. Then roll your stomach and that'll move the fluids up the descending colon, and then also if you're up in that, it'll fill up the transverse colon. And then after you do that for 4 or 5 minutes or 3 or 4 minutes, roll on your right side, get down on the floor, get on your right side, and lift your left leg up and roll your stomach again. And it'll move it into the ascending colon, down the ascending colon. And that way you filled it all over so that bacteria in your colon is just going to get all that fresh fat that it never gets otherwise. So you'll be feeding your brain and nervous system like you never did before.
Wow.
and rolling the stomach is better than
That's just
massaging?
constipation.
Yes,
Okay.
massaging isn't going to do it.
Could you just do the high egg to get all the fat down there?
You could do the high egg, yeah.
Instead of...
But no, that
milk?
won't go to the bowel. That will just go right into your system.
Okay.
Pre-digested goes right into the system.
Okay.
Doesn't wait to go to the bowel.
Yeah.
It's all absorbed before it gets to the bowel.
Okay.
Same with high meat. It's gone. But see, it's already in a form that feeds the brain and nervous system.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to wait to get to the bowel to get to that breakdown point.
I thought you were saying that you do the high egg so that it gets to the bowel. because it would
No,
otherwise
no,
be
no.
absorbed
It
in the
you don't have to get to the bowel. Eggs will never get to the bowel.
even high.
Even high? No. Yeah, even high.
Yeah.
No matter what form they are, they'll never get to the bowel.
All in the small intestine.
Right.
The egg goes to the small, it's assimilated in the stomach and the small intestine, the eggs?
Yeah.
Both.
But only about 5. If you're eating eggs alone, they'll only go to about 5 inches of your intestine before it's all absorbed.
So now what's the deal with the small intestine? It's not really constipated, it's getting its nutrient from what then?
Then the food, fresh
The
food.
food.
But by the time it gets to the colon, most everything's absorbed. The fats, everything's digested. So the bowel's going to feed your nervous system, and it's very deficient. So you notice that, like I have quite a few mentally challenged infants from vaccines. I had one that was, everything was swollen all over the place, and she had no cognitive. She was basically a vegetable you carry around, and I suggested to the mother that she gives because the baby was constipated all the time, no matter what she ate, this diet or any diet, because that bowel was trying to get everything it could, and it couldn't do it. Couldn't get enough for that baby. So I said, you just get a little 2-ounce ear bulb for babies. Only you fill that with the butter and the cream, not coconut cream for the baby. And I said, squirt that in her rectum before she goes to sleep at night. Hold her upside down at an angle like this. Rock her like that to move that stuff down. And that baby changed in 3 months.
She had to do it every day.
Yeah. Well, we don't have to do it every day, but that baby needs it every day.
It gets cognitive ability back?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So pretty much everybody needs it. Everybody's colon's dry to some
Absolutely. Everybody's. I mean, I move regularly, and, I've got a pretty acute mind and awareness. But when I do that suppository, I mean, it's my perception is much greater. Everything's much greater.
Can you tell me that formula again? What's the
3 tablespoons each. Butter, dairy cream, coconut cream.
Okay.
1/4 teaspoon of honey.
Okay.
Now, if you have my product list, it's on page 9 of the product list.
Last time I got coconut cream was yesterday, and it was really bad.
Bad how?
Oh, it just expanded out the top. It was sour. And
That means it's already fermented.
yeah,
Just remember, fermented's better. It's pre-digested. Just doesn't taste as good.
it's awful.
For some reason, Maryland
It's going up your butt, who
tasted a
cares?
lot better. It's sweeter. The last batch I got was much sweeter, your coconut cream.
2 weeks ago it was fine, but yesterday it was really bad. I mean,
You got it from Maryland?
Yeah, I turned the top off. It didn't want to come off, and the minute I took it off, the
It
top
means
was
you got too
flying
warm.
up about an inch and a half.
Didn't get refrigerated right
I
away
think
or
it didn't
something.
get refrigerated or something.
So all fermented, just pre-digested. And
Pre-digested's even better.
Because, he and I go round and round about this, because he's like, now the milk's sour, I don't want it. I'm like, but it's better for you now. And it's
Yes.
too sour.
It's just that you should wait another few days till it starts to thicken. Because once, at that early stage, you've got a soured bacteria that turns it quite bitter.
Right.
And then it takes another day or two, and that bacteria is finished. Then the other bacteria that makes it sweeter.
That's the,
Sour, sweet taste, sweet, sour.
that's the probiotics, though, right?
Yeah, that's
what
what...
everybody's buying. So then at that point, you shake it and blend it with some honey, and it's kind of kefir if it's in the fridge, or do you have to make it warm? It's a different bacteria. I mean, at that point, how are you going to drink your milk if you want to drink it? Just blend it with honey and...
I just drink it. I don't give a shit what it tastes like.
Get over that. Yeah.
I'm one of those that I've been so ill and so sick and so painful in my life, I can eat almost anything. So if I know it's good for me.
Is it different, though, than when it's kefir, which is warm? Because say you've never warmed the milk. It's in the fridge.
Well, just remember, when you're eating anything cold, it's going to go through the intestines with less digestion, less separation. So... And when things are sorted and separated better when they pass through the intestines, the easier it is on your body to be able to utilize it in the blood or lymphatic system or in the neurological fluids.
So kefir it, take it out for a few days, then put it back in the fridge?
Yeah, once it's thickened, then put it back in the fridge. And then you can drink it cold because it's all pre-digested. But still,
The cold's still a problem.
the cold still will absorb fast. You can eat the cold if you like, but a tablespoon every minute.
Mm.
If you're on a hot day, I've done that. I've chilled my, refrigerated my my kefir or milk, and I'll only take a tablespoon at a time. But leaving that cold milk in my mouth cools my brain and cools my body. So.
Because you're not gulping it down.
Right, you're not gulping it.
Through your gut.
Yeah, because that'll cause traumatic effect. You'll dehydrate. You'll absorb foods that get right into the bloodstream without proper digestion and separation.
So still need to nurse your milkshake. You should never just like sometimes you just want to.
Yeah.
So you like you got to do it.
That's you've gone
slow.
too long without drinking something.
And drinking something isn't water.
No. Like you see, I'm a little baby. I got my baby bottle around all the time, and as soon as I know that I'm slightly getting dry mouthed
Yeah,
at all,
you feel it, you put it off.
I don't.
Keep your bottle by you.
Sometimes in a lecture or a workshop, I'll lose it. And I find myself sipping. I take every advantage. Every minute I'll sip, some until I have to, my 10 minutes is up or 15 minutes up. So I get that in and going for the next 2-hour phase. See, I can do those workshops. I can go 10 hours without stopping, but my poor audience is going, just listening to me.
You know why we keep asking you these questions?
So those coconut lids are okay to use?
The what?
Those coconut lids are okay to use?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing, and it's okay for food to touch it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just don't put anything hot in it.
No. Now see, I've had cheese twice. Cramping's still there. But when I eat an egg,
Goes away.
yeah.
Then you need the fats to soothe those parts of your intestine. But you should be, if you have an ulcer like that, because that indicates an ulcer.
Well, I used to have an ulcer when I was 18.
Well, you still have an ulcer.
Yeah,
If you have that, you
feels
still have an ulcer in your intestines.
That's what it feels like.
So eating milkshake helps make the mucus,
Yeah.
because that's not going to heal without mucus. Also, eating about a cup of cabbage juice every 4 days
Okay.
will help heal an ulcer. Green cabbage, not red.
Yeah.
Or white cabbage, whatever you want to call it. Jeff, do you have a question?
No, keep going.
Okay, do you have a question?
I want to sort of like have a group conversation about how people eat when they travel. Because I've read what you said about what you eat when you go to Hawaii. But I find like if I want to go to the Caribbean or I want to go to Mexico or even when I'm just going like back east, I always have to make everything up. I ship it. It costs me hundreds of dollars. And I can't digest a Western diet because pretty much I'm eating the primal diet.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, how do people travel? How do they eat? That's what I want to know.
I do the same. If I'm going somewhere where I don't know what the food is, I ship it ahead of time.
But it's hundreds of dollars.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And it's then you can only be gone like a week or something because then you run out of the food. You don't have all your food.
Well,
so
by the time a week's gone by, I have sources.
So where are you finding your sources?
Unless I'm going to Antigua or one of the Bahama Islands, that's cultured and manicured. There's nothing on those islands because the King and Queen of England that own them, they keep them completely, trimmed and polished. It doesn't matter what government is, whether it's let's see, like Aruba is owned by Holland. So they keep that island, that is where Hollanders go to vacation. So they keep it pristine. There's no farms there. There's no nothing there except tourist attractions.
So you search out farms, etc., wherever you're going.
Except if I know it's an island like that, then I make sure I have shipped the food there. I have one guy I have a patient in Aruba that has his food shipped every week from Amos Miller in Pennsylvania to Aruba.
Try to ship into Mexico or something, they probably won't let it come in.
It goes through FedEx. It'll get you anywhere.
Really?
Yep.
Now, I heard FedEx radiates their packages.
They can't radiate all those packages. Are you kidding? They very few, and they're usually, if they're passing out of Los Angeles, they may irradiate them, or San Francisco. But your major cities where there might be some problem with, so-called terrorism.
Any package that goes to D.C., they always irradiate those.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so nobody else here travels. Only
No, I go to the Whole Foods for the meat.
But what do you find unpasteurized, milk? All the other things that you need.
I just take a lot with me because I drive, so I'll just take a lot with me.
Okay, but if you fly? If anybody
I
flies?
never, no.
Well, when I fly, like if I'm going to Asia, when I go, I take anywhere from 20 to 30 pounds of butter with me. I carry it on. Plus, I'll have 3 quarts of milk to get me there.
Do they radiate it, your butter? How do you...
No, I have a letter from a doctor.
Give them a note still?
I give them a letter.
Well, I wasn't successful for that, as you know.
Yeah, it's funny because you're the only person. I just had my publisher with his wife and his infant, 3 months old, just went on a cruise. And they flew to Miami to get the cruise. And they took my letter. They passed through a whole gallon of milk for the baby. And lots of butter. They each had a cooler that they took on. Didn't scan any of it.
But you do? You get scanned?
I tried, and I tried a letter, and it did work. They didn't accept it, and then I complained to TSA, and I got a letter to the effect that all food will be radiated. It doesn't matter if you have a letter or no letter. I have that in writing, and so...
Switch to his airline.
I take all airlines.
Are you carrying the milk on through?
I carry the milk on. That's right.
So who's the letter? Do you write your own letter, or?
No, I have a MD who writes my
But
letter.
you have somebody who could write a letter for us?
I write the letters for my patients, but I don't write them for myself.
No, but do you have like a form letter you could write for us? Or?
No, what I do is I charge $100 and it'll last you about 4 months.
Just 4 months.
Yeah. So what I have to do is go change the name. I also have to look at your iris to determine what to say about you so it's honest.
They accept iridology?
I don't tell them it's from iridology. I tell them what particular things that you've gone through and why radiation would harm you. So, I've only had 2 people that it didn't work for. One was Michael, and one was a psychiatrist.
Yeah, I mean, the radiation is one issue, and the other issue is trying to get liquids through security.
Yeah, well, that's a letter, If you want to get liquids through, you say you're diabetic.
Really? They still want to radiate it then, though.
No.
Say you do have to have it radiated instead of just to let it...
As long as it's only one time.
Because I'd rather than toss it.
Yeah. One time it's fine. I've tried it after 2 times and I get nauseous. But after 1 time, no. But that's hand carry-on, not your luggage. If you put it in your luggage, you're going to get 100 times the amount of radiation of an X-ray. So you don't put it in luggage, it's hand carry.
There's more radiation in the luggage.
Oh, huge.
Someone was telling me, Anne, that when we go to Hawaii, she sometimes has Amos or remember those other ones send in a little $5 priority mail thing, send cheese and other, it's not milk, but you can send cheese through the mail. They don't radiate those little packages, do they?
It depends.
Yeah.
But I don't send it to regular mail. Regular USPS radiates a lot.
They do.
FedEx only in major cities, only in a few major cities.
Do they have the mailers? FedEx?
Yeah.
Cheese? That's not very pricey though.
What about UPS or any of the other?
UPS is slower. Sometimes they don't get it there, and a lot of times they break shit.
But
So
they don't radiate it, or?
sometimes. In those major cities, all of them have to. And there's certain sizes of packages.
Well, if you're without milk for a week, that's no biggie. You can have.
Can you give
You
them the
know,
letter,
for
even
milk,
though I
it's
would
the big
suggest
juice is
that
the-
it's not, or
Yeah,
going to go
I
through a
ship the cheese,
pre-inspection of
butter,
some
I
type?
ship the whole
Say,
bottle of wax with
you know, I'll open it for you, you can see what it's in there, and then don't radiate it.
Well, that's what they do. They put a stick over I open all of my jars, and they'll put a stick over it if it's liquid,
Yeah.
and then they'll put a little drop on there, and it's okay. It's fine.
I
One
was talking
time,
about UPS.
pardon?
I was talking about shipping something by UPS.
They will pre-scan?
Can you open something for UPS and
No.
don't scan it? Oh, the thought.
Yeah. They don't have time for that. They don't take time for that.
Right.
Joe, do you have a question?
Yeah, when you're taking the hot bath, you put all these things in it so that to neutralize the water.
The poison's in the water. Not the water. The poison's in the water.
Yeah, okay. The apple cider vinegar and Epsom salt. When you're done taking the hot bath, is there any reason to rinse off with the toxic water?
No.
It's better to just get out, right?
That's right. Dry off.
With the toxic.
Dry off. Yep.
Yeah, that's what this lady's been telling me.
You get right back out and put it right on there.
She wants to rinse everything off. I said, well, why would you want to do that when you're just putting more toxic water on you?
Yeah. No, it's better just to towel
It leaves your
dry
hair
and
a
get
little bit messy, though.
Pardon?
It leaves your hair a little bit messy.
You can rinse your hair.
Well, I rinse my hair off in that water. It's not a problem, unless
No,
I'm putting
you-
too much coconut cream in it.
Yeah,
Then it's very oily,
yeah. Okay.
and you can put less coconut cream in it if you want. I like my hair oily, so it's not a problem with me.
What,
It's the look.
Just a dab of coconut oil you put on cream or oil?
In the bath water, I'll put like 3 tablespoons of coconut cream in it.
Right, that's what I mean.
So you should bathe, not shower, right? I mean, you shouldn't shower at all, unless even with the shower.
Well, if you have a whole, if you've got a 3-tier huge water filter system, you could probably get away with, showering, but you're not going to get that heat in the body
Sorry,
to help you clean under the skin as well as clean the outside.
yeah, no kidding.
Because that's what really needs cleaning.
And that soaking, is it just start pulling the toxins when you say clean? It's pulling the toxins from the deepest
You're perspiring
layers
out from under the skin.
from the lymphatic.
Well, the lymphatic system dumps its waste in the connective tissue under the skin, and it takes perspiration to remove it. So that's why I tell everybody they have hot baths every day, especially if their lymphatic system is jammed. Now, I don't have a bath at my new place because Chase took over the house from my landlord because he didn't pay the mortgage. So I was overseas when that happened. They didn't tell me. So I get back, I get home, and there's an eviction notice on my door. And it's past the date to answer the court. So I went to the court anyway, wrote this, 15-page, brief, and the judge wouldn't even read it. He says, I can't do anything about it. It's past the date. I said, but they had my email address. That's where I told them to notify me. He says, they don't have to do that. All you have to do is post it on your door. That was it. So I had to sneak into my house every night for 10 days until I found another place to live. They wanted me to go stay in a hotel or something. I'm not going to stay in a freaking hotel. So I broke in the house every night for 10 days until I found the place. No bathtub.
Wow.
So I sleep with 7 hot water bottles. Yeah. Hot water bottle here, hot water bottle here, hot water here, and here, and one for one side of the
How
head.
do you keep them there?
So how do you keep them from moving?
Yeah.
Well, I've got a system. I've got beach towels.
You
I've
wrap-
got 2 under me, and then I take and wrap them around.
Yeah,
You don't turn over ever?
Yeah, I'll sleep on my side, but I'm aware of it, so I hold on to the towels, and they roll with me. And of course, I'll move the hot water bottles to the back and front at the same time.
Mine drift all over the place, even when I wrap myself. I actually wrap myself with a sheet. I fold the sheet to where it's this wide, and that works.
But the sheet's slipperier.
Yeah,
Towel
it's
has
more
a tendency to hold them. Yes.
Towels are not very comfortable to lay on. They're bumpy.
To me, it doesn't matter. When I lived outdoors for 3 years, I slept on rocks, on roots. You know, you don't find any soft ground when you live outdoors and you're traveling every day. You know, so rarely do I sleep on flat ground, rocks and jabbing into my ribs and the head. You learn to sleep through it. So a few little bumps from the towels.
Aajonus, I'm beginning to wonder what the objective is of being on this diet.
The objective is to be able to do to be healthy, not to suffer in disease.
Yeah.
You may suffer socially, but to me that's not painful as physical pain. Some people decide that's not for them. And I have no judgment about that. Let them be that way, you know. They don't mind physical pain. They'd rather eat their donuts and Hershey bars and whatever it is. That's their choice, and I don't care. That's fine for them. I won't do it. I'd rather not have as tasty as food and have better health and be able to be alert and produce. You know, like for the whole week, I've slept 2-3 hours a night only, and I'm productive my entire waking hours. And if I get sleepy, like I'm working at my desk, and I'm not going to go lie down. I'm not that tired. I'm just sleepy-eyed. So I'll nod off right there for 10-15 minutes. I wake and I'm completely alert again. You know, and I love that. You know, when I was ill, all I could do was groan and moan and couldn't think, couldn't do anything. You know, I don't want to ever go near that again. I'm getting as far away from that as I can. If I only have to sleep 10 minutes a day, I'm happy.
Just relaxed enough throughout the whole day to
yeah, no problem.
So if you're sleeping a lot, you're toxic or needing healing? If you're sleeping a
Oh,
lot?
yeah. When I go through a detox, a cold, or a flu, I will sleep about 6 hours.
But if you're sleeping a lot, it's usually a sign someone else has to be out here too.
You're resting. Your body's
It doesn't have
taking care of other things. Yeah. Can't afford to be physical and use its nutrients on a physical activity.
Too deficient or too toxic, one or the other?
Pardon?
Too deficient and too toxic?
Yeah, well, if you've got a lot of toxins, you know, your body has to use the nutrients to deal with the toxins.
That's how that works.
You don't have
That works.
you don't have time for physical activity. You have nutrients for it.
But then you're kind of floating in them, aren't you? And that's why you should take the bath to get it out.
Yep. Or the hot water bottles. Yep. Got to get rid of it.
Like floating with all the poison.
Well, normally you wouldn't have to do that, but we've had a lot of plastic fats, hydrogenated oils, which are plastic, liquid plastic. And in the human body, those molecules dehydrate. They collect in little balls of fat. Plastic fat. And what happens is it starts blocking the system so you can't perspire those poisons out. So you've got to get into a hot bath that's 105 to 110 degrees for 90 minutes a day to get that to move. And if you don't, the system holds the poisons up in the body, and you swell and swell and swell. That's why you see people nowadays, if their lymph system is very blocked, you see them getting bigger as they get older. Just blow up like a balloon. And look at your black people who lived on margarines, the worst stuff of all. They can never afford butter, you know, so they got Crisco, and they cooked with that. And you see these fat people that just are swelled so big,
So that's like the Hawaiians. You see a lot of Hawaiians.
Yeah, they're
Like,
that way too.
We were on a plane and stuff. I couldn't see the. Did you see King Kamehameha? I mean, he was like this.
Yeah.
I'm like, how does he get that big? It's not just pork.
No, it's the hydrogenated oils, plastic
He
fats.
just didn't get that wide, huh?
That singer died. There was a really big Hawaiian singer that had a wonderful voice.
Don Ho.
No.
Israel.
Brother is.
Camilla Piccovalli.
Oh yes, I know what you mean. I have one of his tapes. I can't remember.
What is his
It
name?
was used 700 pounds.
Brother
I can't
is.
remember.
Yeah, they call them
Does certain cultures
Yeah.
get bigger than others, though? Like white people don't get that.
Well, you have to understand those that were healthier have better reactions unless they get blocked. So their bodies are detoxing and diluting the poisons, which it should do, but then they can't get it out of their skin. They stop perspiring.
Does the option be too thin? I mean, there's too fat and too thin.
Well, when you're too thin, you're still detoxing your poisons. You're still perspiring and getting rid of your poisons,
Really?
but you're not eating properly to get the fats in there to bind with the poisons. But at least you're getting them out of the skin.
Wow.
Another quick
I'm over the jacuzzi.
Yeah.
When I do the 90-minute bath, halfway through, I reheat the water and then get back in, and my face gets so hot. Because the first half, no, because I guess, the second half of your body's already hot, and then you add more hot water. Is that okay to be really hot on your face?
Wonderful.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I usually take a fan and do this.
See, that's
I
okay.
hate a fan. and then I get tennis elbow.
Or you could do what some people do.
You're saying put a cold towel over your head or something?
Yeah, well, what I suggest is taking a bowl of cold water with ice floating on top, so you got ice water, and you take a cold rag, and, somewhat moist, you put it on top of your head, and put your wrists in your, now not with your fists closed, but not tightly, so the water gets inside. And you put them into your wrist, and you leave them for 2 minutes, the whole body starts chilling to the brain.
You put ice in your hand, is that what you're saying?
No, you're putting your hands in the bowl.
Oh, in the bowl.
So,
Okay.
and of course the ice cubes are going to hit you here.
Yeah.
So you've got your hands in there, you hold them for a whole 2 minutes. Not easy to hold in it's harder to stay in that cold water than it is to be in the hot water. And it chills the body to the brain and the bones, and you don't give a shit about the bones.
Really?
It's the lymphatic system, the skin, and the blood you want hot.
And then
the
on top of
lymphatic
your
system.
head you could put a towel.
The cold, yeah. So you've got that, yeah.
But it's actually good to be hot, so if I can stand it, do it?
Yeah, absolutely. If you can stand it.
Does it shock you? Does the cold? It doesn't shock your brain?
Oh, then it makes you want to stay in that water all day.
Oh.
Yeah. You don't get that heat prostration. A lot of people can't stay in that water. It raises the blood pressure too much. And it's, the brain gets worried about maybe having an aneurysm or something. So you cool the system.
So you're not cooling the lymphatics, you're saying, at the same time?
No, because it's mainly the bones and cold's traveling up through the bones to the brain.
Wow.
And then you got the cold thing here on your skull cooling the brain. The brain doesn't like to be hot.
Right.
The body loves it.
Yeah.
Oh. The brain.
So you put your hands in ice water, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, in ice water, up to the wrist.
Up to how long?
2 minutes. Just 2 minutes.
Just do it for 2 minutes?
2 minutes. Any more than 2 minutes, you're not going to be able to stand it.
Okay. I'll try it.
What do you think about mineral hot springs? Like just
Wonderful.
Oh, good. Okay.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Or mud.
The only thing is that they chlorinate their water. In fact,
Well,
not all of them.
Yeah, there's some.
which don't.
Sam's? Have you ever heard that? Desert hot springs? They don't. They change it every day.
No, it doesn't. It flows through.
It just
They've
flows-
got
yeah, right.
In California, you have to have the flowing only.
Okay.
Like at, what's the one out?
Warner Springs. It used to be.
No,
Glen Ivy?
Glen Ivy. Glen Ivy has one that they don't chlorinate. You have the swimming pool, you have the one that you walk into, and then you've got the mud baths over there, and then you've got all the other. That one between, that's near the mud pool, that's no chlorine in that. And the pool's got lots of chlorine. That one hot tub, that one 3-section right there at the foot of the swimming pool, no chlorine, no nothing. but they have the constant water flowing through it. And the one with the clay in it, they don't require them, even though it's not a continually flowing one. With the clay in it, they don't require it to be chlorinated. Every other pool on there, every other hot tub on that property at Glen Ivy is chlorinated.
Anybody that wants to have a carpool in Los Angeles, they can go with them.
The hot water bottles you're talking about, but that's
But
not
if you really want a good place to go to hot springs, where it's constantly, you got different temperatures, and you're outdoors, go to Deep Creek.
Where's that?
That's where, you know where Hesperia is? You go up 15 to Hesperia. You get off at Hesperia and you go to the Bowen Ranch. It's about 20 miles back in the mountains, in the San Bernardino Mountains. Then you get off the Bowen Ranch, you pay like $5 to $7 for a day. And you can camp out there. They'll let you camp, take tents or whatever. And then you hike from Bowen Ranch 2 miles to the hot springs.
Isn't that, you have to be on the cliffs or something?
Yeah, you're on cliffs. But you climb down into it, and you have to cross the river. And if you go in the winter, you will freeze by the time you get to the other side unless you know how to move fast. It's cold because it's got all the ice drift, the snow drift and ice water coming off of Arrowhead and Crestline and all those that fill that river. So you've got about from here to that fence, that much cold water to cross. And if it's late summertime, it's shallow. There's not a lot of water. But in the cold time, it's deep. And you've got to get through there. And sometimes it's so cold sometimes your body muscles stop. And then you're barely swimming across it. It never comes up over here. But still, when it's ice cold water, it's really freaking cold. But then you get to the other side, you've got all these different hot springs that are coming off the cliffs, and you've got different ones. You've got one called Arizona that's right against the river, and it's got rocks all around. So you get in, it's a shallow one, about this shallow. So you're getting in this hot springs. Put your hand over into the cold water. You can go from one to the other.
And none of them are chlorinated.
Pardon?
And it isn't chlorinated?
No, this is wild.
Natural. Yeah,
this is natural.
Yeah.
There's
not
no,
owned by anyone.
and you're not allowed to spend the night there, but you do it. I've spent a whole week there. You just don't go in there on a weekend because the rangers will ride in on horses and ticket you.
Wow.
$85 to $120 ticket.
If you stay just for the day?
If you stay there for a day, it's fine.
What's the name of it, Aajonus?
Deep Creek. And they've got this one that's up there on the hill, up on the cliffs, and you get up in there and it's deep. It's like 7 feet deep. Sand on the bottom and rocks.
Nice.
And you get around that, the whole group inside that. It's fabulous. And you can go naked. It's far enough away. A lot of people go naked, a lot of people won't. But if you go there on a weekend, too many people, they smoke, they burn candles. So a weekend's not time to go. If you like more quiet and privacy. Weekdays are phenomenal. All different temperatures. And they've got there's some flat, elongated ones that they're sectioned off into different temperatures. It gets the hottest up here and it cools as it comes down. And it fills the deep one over there, and then there's another one below that, and they run off into each other. And for the one that says deep, you can dive off 10 feet, 12 feet down into the water and swim. I don't suggest that men go in that naked, because I got a catfish that bit into my penis, and it bled, and it hurt. It hurt. So if I go in that naked, I have my hands on there. When you're swimming around, they don't do it. But when you're sitting there in the cold water, like in the summertime, they go.
Well, they can't find Mr. Willie in the wintertime either.
Well, I'm sure they would. Let me tell you. Hungry creatures.
What if those fish that in the river waters, they go right up the penis? What is that fish?
Oh, that's in the Amazon.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they like the warmth, and they go right up and embed themselves in the urethra. But they'll go up in a woman too.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you pee in the water. If you pee in the water and your penis is exposed, then it'll go right up in it while you're peeing.
So women too?
Even women, yeah. Go right up in there.
Who's that?
They go right up in they love that hot water. And they follow right up in it, and then they get lodged in there because they have spikes. And they stay in the vein. So they did document that because a lot of people say, oh, that's a fiction story. But then this one doctor from the Amazon said, you know, I didn't believe it. I thought it was all fiction until this one guy came to me, and sure enough, it was in his urethra. I had to cut him open and get it out.
That's small?
Yeah. Oh, they're long.
Yeah, right.
They're about this long, but just very...
What kind is that, catfish?
No.
Is it called a penis fish or something?
I forgot the name of
I
it.
do too.
Yeah, it's a odd name.
Yeah.
Do you have a question, Lisa? Okay.
Wait, I missed mine.
And her too. Or,
Go ahead, though.
I was missed too.
Well, you were sleeping. I'll get back to you.
Just the two things, the cause of bipolar and then where to get the coconut oil.
Okay. Bipolar is not really a single condition. If somebody gets hyperactive, that means they produce a lot of physical hormones for physical activity. Adrenaline, testosterone, estrogen. Those three create energy for the body to be physically active. So a lot of people who produce a lot of those need to be physically active. If they're not, they can get high anxiety. Exercise is the remedy when you're at that end of the bipolar. If you're depressed, that means if you have low bacteria in the colon and you're not feeding your brain and nervous system. So that's either eating high eggs, high meat, or do those suppositories with the fat.
Kefir as well, would that help?
Not really.
Okay.
Not for that.
And the coconut oil?
Coconut oil, I get it at Thai Organic Life.
So it's coming from Thai?
Yeah, it's coming from Thailand, Phuket.
Okay, that's going to be a lot of shipping.
Yep. But, you know, I still get it from them because they're the only ones I
How
trust.
many do you order at a time?
I order 2 liters at a time.
Just to
But you can get a whole group of you together.
Oil pulling, just for oil pulling?
Yeah. So I'll eat a tablespoon once in a while a day.
Why not just use coconut cream?
I do mostly.
Yeah.
Sometimes I want oil just to help get in there and clean something heavily.
You just swallow it, or just
I'll put it in something
like
with my fruit meal or a milkshake. Just a tablespoon.
Mary Ning's book, she says how it will stimulate the metabolism, coconut oil. Is that true? And help you lose weight. Mary Ning, she wrote the book on oils.
Oh. Any oil will do that. Any oil is mainly for detoxification and for energy.
The air one, coconut oil, should I throw away? Because I didn't know it was not.
I didn't check on it. I don't know.
It's not fermented. It's not the way you thought it.
Then it's high heat.
Then I should throw it away?
Yeah, I wouldn't eat it.
Just for
Or give it to some poor person.
Oh, don't use it.
There's at least something to be good out of a homeless person. Give it to them.
Give it to
Somebody who will be better for than what they're already eating.
Okay, homeless, all right.
That's what I used to do. Whenever I got something that was not good enough for me, I would give it to the homeless.
I thought, because I was using it to wash the dishes, I put it on my hand. I better not do it anymore.
I doubt that it would move into your skin if you're using it to wash.
Well, I'll give it to a homeless.
Yeah.
So does it help with the metabolism and losing weight?
It could, but not necessarily.
Right.
Your meat is the thing. Well, meat's going to do that. You've got to have proteins to burn the fats. More oil isn't going to help you burn fat. But if you're trading off and you're not eating any oil, eating butter or cream, and you eat coconut oil, you will lose weight.
Thai coconut oil?
Because it's going to start taking off your butter and your cream out of your body, all of the animal fat. It's going to start ripping it out.
Is that good or not?
What fruit meal do you use it in? What fruit meal are you talking about?
I just told you. I'll have it in milkshake or I'll have it with a fruit meal.
Not with the vaccine formula.
No, I don't have it with the vaccine formula.
Not with that. The mercury vaccine formula.
Yeah. I have coconut cream with that. The reason for that is coconut cream, like dairy cream, has mainly water-soluble fats. Now, nobody ever talks about water-soluble fats because they are so fragile. At 105 degrees, they're all destroyed. A lot of them are destroyed or altered at as low as 96 degrees. So I don't like coconut cream pressed above 96 degrees. Now, most of your vitamin A and most of your concentrated vitamins are in the water-soluble fats. Only 7% of anything is oil. 7% of your vegetable juice is oil. 7% of coconut cream is coconut oil. Now you take a look at the composition of a coconut. It's 80% fat. But only 7% of that oil, 7% of that fat is oil. And 93% is water-soluble fats.
So what is the fruit meal you use that you take this coconut oil in?
It doesn't matter. Any.
What, for instance?
Any.
You have...
I don't care anything.
Avocado and orange.
You could eat it with avocado and orange. Absolutely anything.
Well, last question with the bipolar. So what foods would benefit that?
Exercise for the anxiety.
Yeah.
Cream to help calm the person. And the nut formula or lots of cheese frequently to lower the hormone level.
Oh, okay.
Okay? For the anxiety, for the depression part of it, high meat, high eggs, suppository.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, if they have...
I have a hard time getting enough raw butter in my diet. I just can't get over that taste of it. And
how about honey with it? It just means you lack enzymes.
Right. That's what she's been doing.
Then just have the smallest amount of honey that it takes to digest it. Or eat it with some pineapple, little chunks of pineapple. Eat it with little chunks of... Blend pineapple and butter together if you like. Don't let it sit. Because that pineapple, once it starts breaking down the butter, it'll start tasting like that milk when it's off in that center area.
Exactly.
But you don't want to have pineapple with coconut oil.
You can.
And coconut cream?
What did I just say? I said you can have the coconut oil with any fruit. What does that mean?
Except for the vaccine. Okay, formula. Okay.
Formula, yeah. Okay. You could have it in that, but you may go through a hell of a detox. A little oil in it.
And one other
could
thing.
Start vomiting or diarrhea. I don't want to go there. Then I can't function. I don't mind diarrhea and vomit. I like them, but I don't like the extended periods of it.
You have one other thing on
I shattered my knuckle years ago, dropped a piece of plywood on it, and broke it, my big toe knuckle up from my big toe. And just like in the last couple of years, it's got getting a big knot on the top, like a calcium deposit or whatever.
Is it hard or semi-soft?
It's hard.
Like rubber or like bone?
Bone, yeah.
This calcium, a mineralization.
It doesn't always bother me, but it seems like, I don't know, maybe when I get stressed out or something, just once in a while, it just burns and really...
Well, your body's trying to dissolve it if it's burning. What you can do is take a piece of pineapple rind and put the fruit side on it and wrap it.
Yeah.
But don't do that more than once every 3 days because it will eat into your skin and burn your skin. But the bromelain will be absorbed into the skin. And just do it overnight, or 4 or 5 hours at a time.
What about soaking in apple cider vinegar water? He likes to
Just won't.
smoke it.
Yeah, that's good. It helps the whole foot.
Smoke it?
But it's soak it.
Oh, soak it.
So you could put it in, you can put a hot water bottle there too with a pineapple. Put the hot water bottle on the side and you got the pineapple here, wrap it with the towel so it doesn't move, so it stays on there for the whole night. And that'll help it. I had several of those in my foot because I had a bicycle accident and I hit the curb. I was going in the desert on my bicycle and somebody had let the water run in the gutter, and the mold grew just overnight, and I had no idea that it was like that. My tires just slipped right out under me. So this foot caught the edge of the curb and ripped these toes out, and each time it split the skin all the way back about 1 inch to 2 inches and broke 7 toes. I had 7 breaks. I had 2 breaks up here and then 4 toes broken. And it was bleeding in a mess. It was terrible. And the toes were all broken and I said, I can't go to the hospital. They won't do it. They're going to want to sew up in between the toes. They're going to want to do all this stuff. So I thought, I know this 14-year-old girl loves to. She'll go over and crack your knuckles. She loves to crack knuckles. So I went to her house. I bicycled to her house in that shape, in that condition. And I waited for her to wake up. She's one of those long days. She stays up late at night. 14-year-old girl, mother didn't discipline her in a different way. Just let her have her way, but still a good girl. Very good girl. And so when she got up I did that about 6 o'clock in the morning, and she didn't get up till 10:30. So I'm suffering all day waiting for her to put my knuckles. And she looked at that and she says, I can't do that. And I says, listen, you crack knuckles all the time. I'll let you crack my knuckles anytime you want, but you have to crack those in place first. So it took about 30 minutes to psych herself into it, and she put everyone in place.
Oh, my God.
So I went to the movies just to I watched Caddyshack. I would bicycle 12 miles because I had to get my mind off of the pain. I couldn't just sit there like when I waited for her. It was excruciating. That seemed like 2 days, even though it was about 4 hours, So I went to Caddyshack. I bicycled all the way with that foot in that condition and watched the movies, and got into my sleeping bag that night and slept out in the desert. Next morning, 90% of the pain was gone. And I bicycled all the way out to the farm to do work, so.
Would the pain
that was 22 miles I bicycled the next day.
Would the pain formula have helped with that?
Yeah, but I didn't have all of that.
Yeah, how did you heal the skin if you didn't do anything to it?
I knew about lime juice.
Oh, you did at the time.
So I put lime and I packed mud on it. I got some good mud, clay, and packed that on it. And that sealed it. But, my toes, you'll see that the toes on this foot are more spaced out than this one. You see this is more out and spread. Anyway, I had a lot of bone spurs like you have, and I put the pineapple with a hot water bottle. In a year or 2, they went away.
Wow.
Yeah.
You put pineapple, is it swelling in your toe, you said?
No, where the bumps, the bone growth was, the extra bone growth. Also lipoma, I had a big lipoma here, and I put the pineapple on that, and gradually over time that went away. Does anybody remember the little white mole that I had on the eyelid here? Nobody noticed it? Bright white. I thought everybody saw it, but nobody mentioned it except for one person.
How long ago?
I had it for a whole year and a half.
Recently?
Well, it went away about 4 weeks ago. I had a heck of a flu and cold. And all of a sudden looked in the mirror. One day it was there, and the next day it was completely gone. Wow. Just disappeared in one day.
By the stairs.
I thought, how great. I thought it was going to come off a little at a time like a wart. Just gone the next morning.
You didn't do anything?
Didn't do a thing to it.
Oh, okay.
No, I threatened to take a little, X-Acto knife and cut it off. I said, no, I've got to see what happens, what my body does with it. I'm glad I did. Because it just, no scar, nothing, just disappeared. Woke one next morning, it was gone.
What did you say you put on it?
I didn't put anything on it. That one I just left because it's in the eye. It was right on the top of that lid. So anything I put there was going to go into my eye. So I wasn't going to do anything with it.
Egg white thing you were doing, that didn't change.
Pardon?
You were doing egg white a lot, so in the eye.
No, that was when I was having that, when that acid from my tumor here drifted into my eye and scarred my eye. I used egg white a lot there because it's so painful.
Can you use egg white just to clean out your eyes?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You have red eyes, put it in. I have a lot of actors and actresses which use that because, they put that stuff in their eyes and it gets rid of it, but it causes vision blurring and problems. So they just use the egg white and it takes the red out of their eyes and they can go right for the camera in 2 minutes.
Can you use butter too?
Butter will cause the eyes to be red.
If it's fresh?
Even if it's fresh.
Okay.
You always do the butter at night, and that will strengthen the eyes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I used to get these white bumps on my forehead.
Pineapple.
Well...
You need bromelain to help break that down.
Okay, because one time I just took a pen and I wanted to see what
Pick
it's
them.
made of.
Yeah.
It's like a hard cholesterol fat.
No, it's not cholesterol. It's plastic.
Oh, okay.
Plastic. Yeah. And what the pineapple does, the bromelain eats away at the skin that surrounds it and causes the skin to come up with that so you can peel it off.
Oh, cool.
Prick it off. So you have to dig down to get it because once the plastic's in there, it won't move without something to cause it to raise, and the pineapple will cause it to raise.
Excellent.
Okay, I probably asked this question before.
Oh, let's thank Lisa for hosting us again.
I'm honored that you come. Yes. So this question, I probably asked it before, and we talked about it a little bit, but just for the relief that the arguing goes through about water, we have this ongoing thing, because he knows that I'm dehydrated. So he's always like, you need to drink water. And I'm like, well, I need to have all my liquids, which I've been not doing in my juice or milkshake and the mineral water. But he's saying, well, you need more water. And I'm saying, no. And I want to
Well, look how much water you're retaining.
Yeah, I'm retaining water.
You're not dehydrated.
Right.
Your cells are not getting the fluids they need because your cells cannot absorb water, plain water. There has to be all kinds of nutrients bound with it. That's why the more water you drink, the more you're thirsty.
Oh,
because it dries the system.
Her kidneys, she was having pain.
But we talk about water every day, so it's like, my kidneys were hurting.
Her kidneys were hurting and stuff to drink some more water to just kind of flush it out. Or
that'll make it worse.
It does.
Because what it does is it strips the mucus off the kidney lining. And then the kidney's very vulnerable. And it dehydrates the kidney cells, so it makes the condition worse. That's why the medical profession tells you to do that if you have kidney problems, and people end up in dialysis by listening to them. So that's not a remedy. You need milkshakes, to get the mucus going to coat the kidney.
So talk about the water in general, but we kind of go through this every day.
You don't have dehydration. You're not dehydrated at all.
Yeah, because you don't need to drink to be not dehydrated, which I was trying to explain to him. Can you, so it's about, can you kind of put it into simple form?
Well, you need water that can be absorbed cellularly. Everything you eat has mainly water. Even meat is 55 to 70% water.
If it's raw.
If it's raw, yes. Once you cook it, you fractionate the ions and the water's released. Then your water's separated from everything. So are your nutrients separated and cauterized and not even absorbable or digestible. But milk is 86 to 90% water. Fruits are 93% water. Everything is majorly water. But you have all of these enzymes and vitamins and water-soluble fats. Everything that a cell needs to be able to utilize H2O. H2O is just a way to transfer the nutrients. It's not the end product it's after. In fact, water by itself is bad in most
What
instances.
happens for you if you drink it in your bath? I just love to have the Gerolsteiner because it's so refreshing.
Yeah, but you see your skin.
What?
You see what happens to your skin. Your skin is not supple. It's still very dry. And you've been eating this diet since...
15 years.
Yeah, 15
But I
years.
can have the moisture drink every day.
Doesn't make any difference. If you drink a lot of water, you're going to dry yourself out.
So just take a sip or two and once in a while. What do you mean?
Yeah, take 1 tablespoon, let's say every 5 minutes if you're going to drink water. But no more than, let's say, for most people. Now, you've been on the diet too long. I don't drink water. I've had, well, he came into the house for a week, so I've had probably a cup of water, not quite a cup, 3/4 of a cup of water in the last week, but never more than 1.5 tablespoons at a time. Kathy, listen to me. 1.5 tablespoons at a time. I hadn't had water for a full month before that, even in the tropics. I don't drink water.
But you're drinking milk and juice, but he's having all
I drink milk, and I'll take, if I can't get milk, I'll take the coconut water and medium ripe coconut meat, and I blend those together. So I'm never drinking water.
Or juice. You have juice. Grape juice.
Juice, yeah.
And sport
But
drink.
juice, if I have more than a cup a day, 4 days in a row, stops digestion for me. So I'm down to 1, 2 cups, 3 cups a week at the most.
Have juice now.
Even like my nephew, he was just in the military and stuff, you know, and it's like they force them to hydrate, you know, all the time while they're...
And what happened to that one military fellow 6 years ago? He died from drinking the water. And it really, let me tell you, what they do to the military is to brainwash you and beat you physically into a pulp so you listen to everything they say. They give you at least 18 vaccines when you enter the military. That means you've got 8,000 times the toxic dose of mercury for a year, and you're doing it in 1 day. They shoot you with that 9 to 12 shot gun.
Yeah.
And they do 18, so 9 in each one. Bam, bam. You've got 18 vaccines in 5 minutes. The amount of poison, that's why a lot of those recruits die or they get very sick. That calls out the real weak ones. Then the rest of them, they do that to shorten their lives. Because remember, if you're a vet, you get benefits your whole life. They end your life sooner, so they cut down on the benefit paying. They pay out. So you have to reason. There's a reason for all the damage that they do. And, you know, you don't see the senators and their sons out there, except for once in a while, going out there to war. No. They don't shoot them up with vaccines. To be a congressman and senator, you don't get 18 shots of vaccines. You're not required to have anything. So the military is no example.
Just being...
So how do you decide if you're hydrated?
You know, he was in the military. He's out now.
Well, you have to consider, they actually do boot camp. They don't give them milk. They give them soda and juices and water. That's no good nutrients. They don't give them any raw food. There's no apples. There's no bananas.
Yes,
it's all processed garbage.
For the government doesn't mean that they're
being
taken care of by it.
Yeah. No, they treat them the worst of any people there is. They treat them as bad as they do patients in hospitals. And that's the worst.
I'm always been surprised how healthy they look.
Yeah.
You know, they look very,
and they're
like,
taking the prime of the crop to make it. You're dealing with the
yes, you're dealing with the prime of the good genes, good health. You get a lot of kids that are farmers.
They're fucked up.
Yeah.
They always have all kinds of multiple health problems. And
psychological problems.
He has all kinds of health problems now
Who's that?
and addictions because they got given that mercury. And I was trying to tell him, I go, that's what's causing all that other stuff.
Well, you got mercury, you got formaldehyde, aluminum, detergent.
Yeah, and he's got to detox
All that
all
stuff,
that.
yeah.
And
You can't. It takes 50 to 200 molecules of fat to remove 1 molecule of mercury safely. So in each vaccine, there was 76 quadrillion molecules of mercury. It would take 90 lifetimes to get it all out of your body safely. In your lifetime, you will never get rid of all of that.
it just stores in your brain.
Yeah, most
Only
stores in
versus
your brain.
comes at night.
They want everybody to be idiots. In children who do not get vaccinations, you've got 3 geniuses out of every 10. They do not want geniuses because they'll be hacking their military,
We won't
the banks,
tolerate
everything would be hacked
Subversive.
because there would be geniuses all
I
around.
want to tolerate oppression when you're
Yeah,
a genius.
you know, they make sure that, you know, they keep power. That's why they want everybody to have vaccines. And they let the Amish and the Mennonites get away with it because they won't even sue the government. They won't be aggressive.
How come they're
They're
not?
not
If
violent.
they,
That's their religion.
oh, their religion. Oh.
So how do
You know how long it took me to get Vernon Hershberger to fight the government in his court to go to trial? But he's doing it.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So how do you decide if you're dehydrated or not? You know.
I mean, I'm not.
And if you should be doing the bill.
I'm not
Pardon?
itching that I'm dry.
Wait, I can hear one person at a time, and they were asking about this kidney stuff. Okay, so wait.
She had weak kidneys from her mom and stuff. And
Oh, metals.
yeah, and she.
Well, eat kidney. Get kidney and eat kidney.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. It
So for the
smells very
so how do
bad.
you know when you're dehydrated? If you feel dry in your mouth, is that metals?
Mouth is not dryness. Like I said in my book, that's delipidation.
So that's when you need the milkshake. If you're dry on
No, just put butter in your mouth. Remember that your brain has the most poison. Most of them are leaving through the mouth. That's why everybody wrinkles in the mouth. You get old in the mouth first. The mouth starts wrinkling all around here, wrinkles first. You notice that in any elderly person, this goes first. Okay? And that's because all the fats are being pulled out of all these cells to handle the poisons coming down the gums, the tongue, and the salivary glands. So you put butter in your mouth, you put cream in your mouth, and you just let it, after you do oil pulling, because you may have pulled out a lot of toxicity, or after a meal, put the butter in your mouth, the coconut cream in your mouth. Is okay, coconut, but butter and cream is best. And just let it sit there. You have to mix it around. Just let it sit in your mouth. The bacteria will infiltrate it, and you'll start absorbing it into the mouth, into the tissues all around. And that's what needs rehydrating.
So the point is it's not...
Or relipidating.
It's the whole concept is wrong that they've taught us about
Yes.
dehydrating. It's about delipidity. You don't have enough fat to moisturize.
And it was Coca-Cola that caused that misconception.
Really?
Started it, yeah.
What's that?
One of the executives of Coca-Cola bet the other two executives of Coca-Cola. Everybody see Trading Places?
Yeah.
Okay, you remember the two guys bet $1 that they could take this black guy, a homeless guy off the street, and make him a better stockbroker than their best stockbroker. So, but that was taken off a real incident on these two executives with Coca-Cola. I couldn't remember it was Pepsi-Cola, but somebody said it was Coca-Cola. They did some research on it too. But one bet the other that he could sell water for as much as Coca-Cola. And the other guy said, can't do it. So but it was $1 million bet. And the guy started in 1961. He started getting doctors together and reporters together and paying them, put stories out about you need 8 glasses of water a day. Before that, we never drank water. We go to the fountain at school and you take a sip a day. The athletes would maybe drink a half a cup of water a day from the fountain.
Yeah.
But everybody drank orange juice and milk. Orange juice and milk. That's what everybody drank. You didn't drink water until they started that. Then by late 60s, everybody's drinking water.
The plastic bottled water's got
Yeah.
Well,
fortune.
That's when that came about.
I work a lot outside sweat and stuff and get to that point where you don't want anything but water, you know.
Yeah, but that's a problem. You can't absorb that water. So I've got athletes who go on a quart of my sport formula for a whole 5 hours. Tennis players. They go on one quart. They'll have that taste. Is that your sport formula? Have them taste it. And you sip that.
What did you put in it?
What's the sport formula?
It looks red. It's pinkish, I mean.
Pardon?
Can you strain the pulp out of it before you drink it? The pulp.
You don't want to.
No, okay.
It helps collagen, helps you hold moisture.
Coconut cream, cow cream.
But you strain the green juice.
Put the cucumber in there?
What do you put in there, apples?
Through a T-shirt.
That's a good idea, because that's a lot of
Got about 10 things in it.
Could I
alkalizing pulp.
You can make it a different thing. Water or water.
It's different. I just want to
So I've got champion tennis players and other athletes who will drink a quart of that in 5 hours, but they sip it all along. The number one high school tennis champions of 2009 were both my patients, the male and female of 2009, and they were both asthmatic children. Could never play sports, and they were both champions. Number one, USA whole country champions. That was Walker Kieran and she lobbied with us in Congress. Her last name is Mysick, Valerie Mysick. What they do is they took a quart of that, and they're competitors. You know, they're drinking down water, and they're getting weaker and weaker and weaker because it's diluting the nutrients in their body. It's diluting their adrenaline. It's diluting everything. And they're just sipping on their sport drink. That one quart takes them all the way through that 5 hours on top every time. I have champion martial artists in world competition. One quart of that sport formula takes them all the way through.
It's like the Indian tribe that the other one that runs. They run like up to some unbelievable
100 miles.
a day.
The Andes in Chile. Indians.
Yeah. Running all this.
But they kick a wicker ball. And they'll have 9 in a line, and they may have 100 of those lines. And at all ages, even 90, 100-year-old men get in that. And the first one kicks the thing as far as he can. And they're very good at it because you're on a narrow mountain trail. And they'll kick that wicker ball. It's about this big. They'll kick it away. That first one falls back behind. Next one kicks. And they just do that the whole way. And that keeps them entertained so they don't get bored with running that 100 miles.
They have some kind of not a beer. It's not a beer drink.
It's a fermented coconut mixture.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what.
Because coconut's 80% fat. And it's 15% protein and 5% carbohydrate. So it's the exact ratio of fuel fat when it burns in the acetate cycle. So it's perfect for activity. Of course, you can only do that for that 100 miles because then your body starts using your animal fat. Then you're in bad trouble. The men who I know that do that 100-mile run in this country take 2 bottles of aspirin to get them through it. And they're drinking Gatorade and water the whole time. And they don't go out of the house for 2 or 3 weeks afterwards because the aspirin, taking that much aspirin, turns your skin, takes all the K and vitamin K and UA out of it, and all the vitamins, so their skin will act like toilet paper and just peel away. So they can't go out of the house for 3 weeks.
You said aspirin?
Aspirin. They take aspirin. They're in so much pain, they can't run 100 miles without some kind of drug. So they take up to 2, some of them take 4 bottles of aspirin.
Oh, my God.
So all these other athletes, like Olympic athletes, they're drinking water and Gatorade, but they're just better, superior, like genes or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And they've got this extensive hormones.
Huh.
that are not normal.
Yeah, like Phelps who eats all that junk,
Yeah.
just all day.
But those people usually die young.
Yeah.
They're one in only so many people. They're
That's
not
true.
masses.
Yeah, that's true.
Usual genetics.
Yeah, but they die young.
Yeah, they don't last. Of course.
Like McEnroe, you know how skinny he got
Yeah.
at the end?
Yeah.
He couldn't play anymore. Billie Jean King, so dry,
Yeah.
dehydrated from drinking all that water and playing,
Yeah.
they couldn't exercise anymore. Now both of them are fat, but they're still alive.
Yeah.
Those that never got fat die, have aneurysms or heart attacks in their 40s
Huh.
and early 50s, and they're gone. You never hear about them again.
Yeah.
But you look at McEnroe and Billie Jean King, they're fat now.
Yeah.
Oh, she's following a good diet.
No. I don't know what diet they're following. Probably McEnroe is probably doing some of my diet because his coach has been on my diet for 16 years.
16 years.
16 years, yeah.
To do honey butter's big thing, and then the liquids are coming from your fruits and your meat, everything. From
Everything,
raw,
yeah.
you're already getting the water,
All of it.
H2O,
Yep.
and the minerals. You're getting it as a package deal. Not
After
They
everything.
bring it out. That's what they're trying to explain. And he's like, I said, you guys talk to Aajonus. I can't explain to people because that's like the toughest one to get through. Is that it's not about water. It's about
It's about the nutrients that water carries with it.
Okay, I see.
Water without nutrients is no value to a cell.
But what about mineral water, like Gerald Steiner water?
I mentioned it.
It's still water.
Oh.
But you can have a little, but not.
After I do the 90-minute bath, I have a craving for mineral water.
I did the same thing.
That's because you're not sipping the sport formula all throughout the bath.
I sip a pint through half of it, and I drink milk the other half.
And you're sipping it all through, you're not gulping.
I gulped it down.
Probably drinking it a little faster, but I don't gulp it. No, I don't.
Yeah, if you're drinking it fast, you're going to, a lot of that's going to rush to the kidney. Then you can have all these nutrients without water with it, and then you're going to crave water. But getting the two to couple again is very difficult.
So look
It's just hard to sip stuff when you're in the
You
bath.
put a straw in it. You get one of those things you put on your head, and you have to chew it down. Whatever it takes.
Straw is plastic.
I use straw.
It's plastic, isn't it?
But straw has been used I put straws in I have glass ones too. I have glass straws. You can get glass straws.
Where do you get them?
Yeah, I think you can order them over the internet.
You can order more over the internet. I use glass straw.
Glass.
Don't bite it.
Yeah. If I use a plastic one, I've soaked it in water, good water with lemon juice, and then cure it in the sun. And then, as long as you're not putting hot water or ice water through it, that's straw. And everything's
So that forces
fairly
you,
room
forces
temperature.
you to sip.
Oh, I use some very fine straws. And then you suck, and it's like all this bacteria comes into it, and it's like so satisfying. But if you're gulping, you're not getting all that bacteria with it. It's like a baby. You pour the milk down a baby and you don't have them suck it, they'll be belching, they'll be regurgitating all kinds of gas. But when they have to suck, they get all this bacteria and saliva with it, which digests it. And they're very satisfied.
I do have a huge craving for mineral water after I do the
Yeah, I
hot
do
bath.
too.
That's why your skin is still dry.
Me too.
You don't see my skin dry.
So the let me ask the other end of it. You're saying I have edema. I have edema instead. People have, how do they get rid of that? That's from toxins pooling?
Well, it's diluting toxins under your skin. You need those hot baths.
The baths withdraw the water. Yeah, like it's...
Melt it out of
I
your
haven't had a
system.
bath in a while. I used to take them and we're like, oh my God.
Yeah, they have 90 minutes a day.
And then that pulls out the excess edema the best? Is there anything else that pulls out
No,
the...
there's nothing.
It's
Well,
not going to dehydrate.
Grapefruit helps you eliminate excess water.
What about the lymph juice in the recipe book?
Lymph juice?
The recipe for lymph in the recipe book?
Oh, that's the pineapple? That doesn't help you eliminate fluid. That helps break down the toxicity and the congestion in the lymphatic system.
So with that, or could that replace the hot baths? That juice?
No.
You do it with the bath and
No, you've got the plastic fats in the body, plastic oils in the body. That's jamming it. They don't move unless you reach 105 degrees. And even if you're exercising, you never go over about 100.8, 101, if you ever can get that hot. Athletes, marathon runners, still never get over 101 degrees. Just can't get there. You need to get to 105 degrees and stay there for 90 minutes.
Is 110 okay?
110 is wonderful if you can take it.
I do it.
Beyond 110, you damage your skin.
Okay.
Is it okay to drink grapefruit juice for quenching your thirst?
Well, it's better that you eat the grapefruit. Little.
Rather than juicing the
Yeah, because you've got bioflavonoids in there. And if you eat only the grape juice, you can irritate your kidneys and bladder. And if you have the bioflavonoids, there's little
You mean take that in?
B vitamin, B1 vitamins in it, so it soothes the tissue.
So have that in your bath? What are you saying? Take that
No,
grapefruit?
no, you're eating the grapefruit.
You're eating the rind a little bit, so it gets the bioflavonoids.
You mean the white in there? Well, there's plenty of bioflavonoids in the little fruit sacks.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have to have a fat with that too, not just by itself.
It's always preferable to have fat when you have a fruit. I say always, always, always have a fat with your fruit. You want to eat. Sometimes I'll eat an avocado, then eat a piece of fruit like a citrus that has sections in it, and I'll eat a section at a time. Maybe then eat a little bit more avocado or eat a little butter or cream, and I'll drink that and then eat another few sections. Do it that way.
Well, back to the grapefruit juice, because I have a bunch of juice that I've given. You just make maybe a smoothie out of that then with eggs and...
Then, yeah, if you have eggs in it, it'll help, and cream. You'll use it in a way. You can use it as fuel. Yeah. And still don't drink it fast.
No, I got that.
Just remember, when you drink stuff, when you gulp, most of the water is going to go right into the kidney, and then all those nutrients have no way to get to your cells. So it causes dehydration, because the body wants to replace that water. It's impossible. By drinking water, you cannot get that ion activity between the nutrients and the water again. If you took water and you blended it with some cottage cheese, put a little honey in it or fruit in it, you will get it to reconstitute the water. Not all of it 100%, but you will get it into a shape where it's more like fresh food rather than dehydrated, rehydrated substance that will nutrify you.
Well, I didn't have a question.
Well, like cavemen and stuff back then, all they had was meat and streams to drink water out of the streams. I mean, how come?
They didn't have to drink water. They weren't polluted. Well, you have jungle animals, you have wild animals, dogs that never see water for months till it rains. And then they'll lapse them up when it rains. But they'll go months without. Elephants go 6 months without drinking water. Camels go, 2 months without drinking water. Most animals do not drink water. The only animals that normally drink water on a regular basis are birds, because they eat so many dried foods, seeds, and grains, and bugs. And bugs have a lot of hard shell, and they take more water to help break down. And so birds drink water, but they are built for it. They have a system that handles water.
Even dogs and cats?
Pardon?
Even dogs and cats?
No, dogs and cats are not supposed to be drinking water. The only times they drink water is when you feed them dehydrated garbage food.
Okay, so my cat, I always feed it raw meat. He still loves the water.
Well, it should be feeding him milk.
He's not crazy about it.
Good. Then put it down for him and make him eat it anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't give them a choice.
Right.
And cats are very finicky. They don't like soured milk usually.
Yeah.
Some like kefir. So you only put enough down till he won't eat it anymore, and then you dump it because you won't force him to eat that.
Yeah.
You know, and the water should be warm. I mean, milk should be warm, room temperature. Then he'll lick some of it. You'll see that he only needs maybe 5 or 6 licks a day.
Yeah, that's what the dogs do. They'll reject it for a while, and then they want it again.
Yeah.
Okay. He loves the cheese, though. He likes cheese.
Yeah, that way you'll need more fluids
It's constipated.
because of the cheese. So remember, the dehydrated food is going to make your body want more water. But if you're going to do that, you should have milk or, you know, like a sport formula, something with, you know, that's still 95%, 93, 95% water, but still has lots of nutrients in it.
I was amazed that the sports drink you made me. What was in it? It just was real basic.
Yep.
Real basic. It was
Cucumber,
I used
tomato.
cucumber and
Coconut cream.
Tomato.
work all day. It didn't feel like
I gave you watermelon in the
That's what I'm saying. That's what my construction workers use, and my athletes.
She made it like that.
But they use watermelon in the summer.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't like tomato on it.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, a friend was when we asked about drinking your own urine benefits or no benefits from it.
Okay. Urine, the reason people drink urine is to recycle their proteins. And most people who drink their urine are vegetarians or lacto-vegetarians, like in the Far East. You have, in India, you have the worship of a cow because it produces milk. It's a feeder. They will not kill a cow if they're truly religious, if they're Hindu. But they will drink the milk. But they don't get enough protein, so they'll drink their urine to recycle their proteins. And it works very well on that kind of a diet. On the primal diet, it doesn't work because you're already getting concentrated protein. However, once in a while, if you're feeling imbalanced and you're feeling off just in the body and nothing you eat is stabilizing you like meat usually does, then drink your urine one time. But the worst fiction you can believe is you drink your first urine in the morning. The most toxic urine you can produce is produced in the morning. If you're going to recycle your protein, you need it 6 hours after you've eaten meat. That'll be your highest concentration of protein in your urine. So 6 hours after you've finished your meat meal, that's the time to drink that urine if you're going to drink it. Or right before bedtime. If you're an athlete, you don't want to have it at that time. You want to have it midday. After you have your first meat meal in the morning, somewhere at 1, 2 o'clock, you have your urine, and it's best to drink it about an hour, 2 hours before you have your fruit meal. But urine on this diet isn't necessary. It can still be for some people.
There's one there.
Some people have genetic diseases like they call maple syrup disease, where there are 3 to 4 amino acids that you don't digest, and it causes the muscles to malform. Babies who get it die. They just melt and die. It's a serious so-called genetic disease. It has nothing to do with the genes. It's that you've poisoned the body so much that the gene to help digest and utilize that amino acid is no longer there because of contamination. Vaccines or the parents eating a shit diet, whatever it is, too much salt, and that causes it in some people. So there are some people who don't digest, even though they're on this diet, all of their amino acids. So maybe once a month, drink a cup of your urine.
How do you know if you digest all your protein?
If you feel grounded and you're stable and you're down to earth, you're doing fine.
So if you're spacey?
If you're spacey, if you're easily irritated, you're likely not utilizing all of your amino acids.
So is anger also related to...
Most anger is high production of activity hormones.
And they're not burning...
They're not exercising, yeah. They're not spending them. So they go into high anxiety to spend it that way.
So all of a sudden someone has an anger outburst. It doesn't necessarily have to be emotional, or it is.
Well, emotional is linked with that, yeah.
Linked with not exercising.
Yes.
The adrenaline.
Yeah, but the anxiety comes from not exercising.
Because a lot of people go, oh, it's psychological, but you're saying that the physical comes first and the psychological
Always,
comes over.
always. Look at all the babies born to the tribes people. All these babies are laid back and happy. Not crying all the time. They'll fuss. The children obey the parents. Everything is easy. Once you give a kid a vaccine when he's born, you can better believe that's a difficult child. That's why they're vaccinating children the day of birth with the hepatitis B vaccine.
I know, that hepatitis is horrid. They used to not even get that.
So there you've got a difficult child. You know that child's not going to be mindful, and it's going to be a pain in the ass. My mother came from a family of 13 children. She was one of 13 children. They all got along. They all worked together. They all got degrees. But they all were raised on raw milk and raised in a warm climate, Alabama. You know, so they had everything, and they weren't poor. My grandfather was a drug pusher. He was a pharmacist. He was a pharmacist. So, and they owned the drugstore, you know, so they made their own raw ice cream. And they sold that at the drugstore. So they grew up healthfully. So of course they got along. What happens when we came out, the next generation, poking us with tetanus shots. Gave me a tetanus shot, my first tetanus shot, at 3 months old.
And that's what caused autism, pretty much?
I got autism at 18 months old from my third tetanus shot. So they created purposely.
I just want to know why
they give tetanus shots.
can't understand this.
Vaccines is so
Why can't you put it out there?
Because they don't believe it. They don't believe that people are evil.
Oh. When is that going to come? The time? Never?
When they're dying and becoming extinct. That little dog, get the big dog. We'll leave him alone.
So she's a small one, but she's active.
Yep.
Boy.
Well, she's a primal dieter since a little bitty pup.
No vaccines, you said.
No, she had vaccines.
She did?
Yeah.
Sometimes not even there.
But you can see the black. If you take her a bath, that goes away. That's all her exuding mercury and aluminum out the eyes.
All of the animals have to be vaccinated when they're born?
Rabies.
All, according to law, all dogs and cats have to be vaccinated for rabies.
You can get a vet's dismissal paper from that.
Not the first one, right?
Yeah.
Pardon?
You can have your vet tell the license people, this dog
Can't have it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I took my cat, he got hit by a car, broke his femur in half, and I told the vet, this is a feral cat, I don't want any shots given to him. He says, no problem, they don't work anyway, and they're damaging.
Yep.
And
Good for that vet.
And he gave me a paper on it. And he never put screws or plates in that femur area to put them together. He just took one piece of the femur out, he says the muscles will take over the rest.
Yeah.
Cool guy, man.
Yeah, then you get a real doctor.
Yeah.
Michael, do you have a question?
Yeah, the fungus infection on my legs. I tried the cheese. That was helpful, but on the calf, but on the upper parts of the leg, it seems to be getting worse. It's scarring.
Well, it sounds like you've got something like mercury coming out, if it's that bad. And it's picking a particular area at a time. Until it gets so scarred it can't discard it anymore. You taking the hot bath? No. Okay. Then you're going to exude it and cause damage. You need to get it through that skin fast. If it's hanging up in the skin, it's going to do damage while it sits in the skin. Do hot water bottles if you can't do the bath. Hot water bottle here. hot water bottle here. It's this leg.
On top of the leg?
One on this side, one on each side of this leg.
On each side?
Wrap it. Kathy, let me talk. You're trying to second guess me all the time. Get ahead, listen. I'll tell. Hot water bottles on each side. Wrap it with a towel. Keep them on there. Be sure to put some extra towels under there because you'll perspire a lot. And then it'll come out of the skin without being hung up in the skin, and you'll do less skin damage. That's your next experiment.
Yes.
We're too fast with the hot water bottles. You're just saying here and here and here and here when you know to sleep.
No, he's exuding some toxins through his skin, causing sores and irritation and scarring. He's not taking the hot bath to help exude out of the skin fast. So the toxins are hanging up in his skin and under the skin, causing damage to cells, causing all kinds of degeneration. If he puts a hot water bottle on both sides, because he got dryness and soreness here, puts the hot water bottles here, hot water bottles here, wraps this one in a towel, these in a towel. So he's got two hot water bottles on each side. That leg is going to perspire a lot quickly. And he'll be perspiring in, you put long johns on something, cotton to absorb the poisons. Or you put the towel first, then the hot water bottles, then a towel around that.
Pajamas? Fine, pajamas.
Pajamas are fine, as long as they're not synthetic.
Yeah, they're not synthetic.
They're cotton, great, that'll absorb the toxins.
Richard has like these sort of, I don't know, these red splotches like on his forehead up here. And what should he do for that? I've been putting a little papaya.
No, he's got rosacea. That means his blood vessels are rupturing in his skin. So he needs vitamin K and U. He needs cabbage juice. Green cabbage juice. Half a cup a day until it stops.
I didn't have a turn yet, except to interrupt.
Go ask.
Okay, now with the heater that you talked about, should I leave it on when from morning till midnight, or all day? Never turn it off?
I never turn mine off. I like warm. I don't have a
But
bathtub.
I leave the house, so I'll just leave it on
I
running?
leave mine on 24.
Even in the summer?
No.
I didn't understand.
No,
what's
it's for
going on
hot.
here.
It's for making your room. If your house is cold, then make it warm.
And if I'm too sick with the heat, I can't breathe or
Then
something
turn
with
it
the air.
down.
Turn it off?
Turn it off or turn it way down.
Turn it off. I turn it off.
That's fine.
But now in the winter, you want to leave it on running all day, all night.
Unless you make it too hot. If you make it too hot, you're going to have to turn it on, turn it on.
We're not talking about forced air, right?
No, we're talking about a condensed radiator type.
So what should I put it on? What temperature?
I don't know what temperature. I don't know what kind you have. I have four settings
the
on
9.
mine.
It's just the knob. You turn it. It's on with wheels.
And there's no switches to give you high and low with that knob.
Yeah,
then
high
you just
and low.
turn that until you find a particular spot. Usually halfway is good.
And you're talking about, all right, you get out of the bath, you put hot water bottle here, 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 and here.
No, it's because
Well, whenever when I get out, I just have the hot water bottle here. That's all I have it here for
Kathy,
my head.
what I say to people is if you want extra heat to melt out the poisons, put one here.
There's one here.
One here. One here.
One here.
One at each hip.
Yeah, each hip.
One under each arm.
Under each arm.
One under one side of the head. Next night, the other side of
That's
the
what
head.
I've done it. So you need
So you have 7 hot water bottles, yes.
And where do you buy those that are deep?
Where do you hold? How do you go?
I on the product list, there's the rubber one.
How do you hold it onto your arms? You've got to go like
No,
this.
you don't. If let's say you've got a towel over it, if it's under there, you don't have to go like this. Just relax it. It's going to stay there. It's not going to move. It's not going to run away. It doesn't have feet.
The main thing is the legs, and you put it on each hip here.
Yeah. And if you're lying on your side,
What do you put?
if you're lying on your sides, either your sides, you put a hot water bottle here, a hot water bottle here, and you wrap them against you with a towel.
Hold it with your two legs together like
What
this.
did I just say? I said if your legs are together, you're sleeping on your side, you put one here, wrap a towel around to hold it there. Here, wrap a towel around to hold it here. When you're on you have one on your stomach and your back. I use a pillow at the back to hold them against my back, and one and a pillow at the front. So I've got a hot water bottle
on
here.
your stomach?
Kathy, listen. Hot water bottle here and a hot water bottle here. Okay? So I've got a pillow holding them against me. Behind me I have another pillow holding against my back. And then here, the one I have here goes this way. I don't do it this way. I do it this way if I'm lying on my sides.
Why?
Pardon?
Why?
Because that's pressure. Heat and pressure, too, can break capillaries and blood vessels in your face and in your eye. You got that thing rolling on your eye, you got swelling because of the heat's expanding everything. You could, pop some vessels in your eye. So I don't do that on my face. I only use one hot water bottle on my head at a time.
Why are you putting all these hot water bottles on?
To melt down the plastics in your body.
Instead of taking a bath.
Instead of taking
Well, you can do both.
yeah.
If you want to sweat more.
If you want to get rid of those poisons faster, do both.
I can't have both on this head.
No, you have one on your head,
Yeah, here, right here.
wherever.
Yeah.
So this will replace lymphatic baths or a reasonable substitute?
You won't get it thoroughly because the heat's localized in certain areas. And you've got lots of lymph glands here and here and here. That's why I favor that area, those areas, so that plastic will get melted. But you've got plastic all over the body. Nothing will get you so evenly heated like water will.
So it's kind of like a second bath.
Helpful. It's very helpful, yes.
But not nearly good.
Not as good, yeah.
Okay.
So are you
Still
doing-
helpful.
You're doing the outside of the legs or the inside of the legs?
Well, when I'm on my back or stomach, it's the inside.
Back.
When I'm lying on my sides, it's on the outside, either
And you
front
have
or back.
to move things around at night, take it off and put it here and there.
Well, I can go from my back and front to my sides. I've been doing it so long, I can move my legs in a certain way, and I can take it from the front and flip into the back, just by a certain kind of turn. So I know how to do it, and you'll get good at it if you do it.
But it has to be in the inner legs.
No, when you're on your back or your stomach, that's the easy way to do it. When you're on the sides, it's got to be the front and here. You're not going to have it here between your legs,
Front here,
front or back.
so it has to be on top of this leg.
Okay, you've got a lot of sores on you at your shins, not as much as in the back and your calves. So you should put your hot water bottle at the shins.
Shin is here.
Shins here. This is the shin bone.
Oh, you put it on top here.
You need it on. Other people may do that. I put mine back here
Oh.
because I've got all that insulin for when I shoot up insulin. It caused all kinds of lumps and everything in my. If somebody massages me, only place I have pain is in my calves.
Why is
So
it there?
that's where I put it. Pardon?
Why is it there?
Insulin
You injected it yourself.
here, here. Yeah, but you have to understand that's synthetic. Even if it's from a pig, they still process it. So it's not really a pure insulin anymore. So out of about, let's say the glycogen that it converts 22, 25%. That means 75 or more of it's toxic. And it stores, that's why your diabetics have amputations.
I thought it was because the sugar is compromising the blood flow to the...
That's the bad insulin. Your diabetics who are pure diabetics will have, they can't walk, they can't breathe, they'll die that way. But it's the insulin that makes the poor glycogen that stores in the tissue. And that causes, it's a high acid, so it causes deterioration of tissue, it degenerates tissue, and it goes into gangrene.
But you're talking about also this top leg has to have 2 hot water bottles up here. One on each side.
No, one. One in the center.
Center.
Okay, if you're lying on your back or stomach. If you're lying on your side, you've got one here and one here, or one here and one here. If you've got problems in the front, put it in the front. If you've got problems in the back, put it in the back.
It's just over here.
If you want, you could have 2 more hot water bottles. So you can put one here, one here, one here, one here. One here, one here, one here, one here. So then how many do you have?
7 then.
No, then you have more. You have got 2 extra. So you've got 9.
So do you submerge your head when you do take baths? Or is that not necessary?
When I had a hot tub, I did.
Yeah. But you don't have a lot of lymph in your upper part of your head, at least.
From here, all the way around here, all the way around here, you do.
Yeah.
So when I had my hot tub, my face was out this much.
Okay.
But you can't do that in the bath. It's not possible.
Not unless your legs are out of the water.
You're saying their brain doesn't like to get hot.
But you have to do that. You can do that sometimes.
But I couldn't stay in long like that with my head underwater.
Still do the hot baths?
I have no bathtub. I said I have no bathtub in my new place.
You have to get
But you did until...
Till last April. It's been a year. But I spent so many years, I slept in my hot tub 4-6 hours a night. I did my sleep periods in my hot tub.
So, big hot tub you're talking about?
Yeah, I had a big hot tub.
The kind
10 feet in diameter.
It was cement,
It was cement,
You just kept the water in it then?
Yeah.
Or you used the water?
Yeah.
Oh.
I used water for about probably 3 months.
Okay, so you just...
But I had a filter system and a heater on it, so I had a big 300-pound sand filter.
Oh, wow.
And that takes care of a swimming pool. So I had the hot tub for 13 years and never changed the sand once, and it kept it crystal clear. And I would put coconut cream in it. I'd bathe coconut cream in it. It'd be all murky. Turn that thing on, the filter on, and be going next time.
Nice.
And
you said you let the algae go, though. Like it's
the algae. Yeah, but the water will stay crystal clear, but let the algae
would just grow on the side.
Yeah, on the side.
Did you find somebody to put together a system for a hot tub for you? You said you were looking for somebody. Remember, I put you in touch with that friend of mine from Vail, and then...
Well, not for me, for other people.
Well, I know, but have you found somebody to build that for?
Not reliably.
Okay.
I need to find a plumber's on a diet. That's what I need.
Never contact that guy that I talked about, because he might have been able to help you.
I talked to him.
No, you didn't talk to him?
Yeah, I talked to him.
And he couldn't help you?
Well, he was arguing with me about how to do it.
Oh, he was?
Guy that argues with you, he's going to do it his way no matter what.
Yeah.
Just like Sharon Palmer. She's going to grow the way she's going to grow.
Okay.
She's the master, even so she was never a master. Okay, what time is it?
It is 4:47.
We've gone over.
You've gone over.
2:30 to 4:30. I mean, what is it? We started at 2:30. 2:30 to 4:30.
Does anybody want any more of my meat before I put it away?
No, thank you.
Just a quick question in regard to dental resorption. They can't transmit. They can't.
The problem is
a
hot water bottle.
one tooth from one end together.
You can't do what?
They can't transplant teeth because dental.
Does anybody
What
want
causes
any more of my meat?
You want to get rid of
They
it?
can only reabsorption
Yeah, I
of
will.
teeth.
You know what they call it? Resorption. The tooth.
I don't know. Would you just turn off my
I guess
recorder?
when they try to
Can you please turn it off?
retransplant.
My other one, I'm just throwing my meat away.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I call it.
Yeah.
Because the nerve won't
I don't know if I'm going to remember how to do it, though.
They can't get the nerve to grow back together.
How do I do it?
From that hot.
Is there a way of getting there?
On this diet of mine, you've been on it long enough, depends on how many metals. If you've had amalgams in your mouth, never happened. Never happened.
Now you're in the mouth for 50 years.
Yeah, it'll never happen because you have mercury all over. Mercury won't allow healing.
So,
I ordered some.
that's my jar.
Gotcha.
Well, maybe they finally got through this.
That's why they don't want to let mercury go of those vaccines, and they know it's the number one neurotoxin. If they don't want it, they'll fight to the end because they want to dominate the world. That's all it's about.
I'm going to do this now.
We had this whole conversation like, we don't have this, we're not getting it,
What about, I saw this from Discovery magazine, the first prosthetic tooth. This happened, I guess, in the Stone Age, and they took a tooth out, and I guess he made a sand casting of that tooth, and then he put the metal, or the result, back into the socket, and it, I guess he tied it into place with leather straps or something, or whatever. It bone set around and sealed it. And he took a tooth out, had a Chinese copy made of the tooth, put it back, wired it, chance that bone would grow.
Yeah, but not with our mercury in our mouths. Well, that was possible before. Even Washington did it with wood.
No, I saw his teeth. They have a museum in Washington.
But that was later on. He was using wood sections to hold it in, but he was a drinker.
Here's it right here.
Somebody's tape recorder.
It damaged his ability, it damaged his bone. But he started putting wood ones in. And then he had a whole wood plate made.
I know. And because I was planning this wood drink wasn't hydrated. Like last summer when I was...
Can you imagine wood? Can't get it that thin, you know?
I know, but
Same.
I felt so.
Oh, well, I thought I'd ask anyways.
Yeah, if we didn't have all that mercury in our slots.
So if you did that, you didn't going to do that.
Well,
Well,
can't heal.
Can't heal because of all the mercury.
Right. You can't get the bone to fuse together as long as the mercury particles in there. Did you see that YouTube on mercury? What it does?
No, but given the last hair test,
you don't want to know.
I don't, yeah.
Well, if you ever want to put Alberta University, mercury, neurons, those 4 words, and you'll come up with a video that shows you exactly what happens with mercury. And they put mercury in a petri dish with these neurons. They put the mercury way the frick over here, and all of a sudden you see that.
Yeah, okay.
You saw that?
Yeah, I think I saw something about it on one of Prison Planet or something like that. Yeah.
And the mercury's way over here, and the neurons start. As soon as it drops into that fluid, the vapors from way over here get to over here, and just start dissolving the neurons. Just start shrinking and dissolving.
Okay, well, I'm sure I have everything. This spoon is no good for using, is it?
That's a silver spoon.
I don't even know.
That's a silver spoon.
Silver.
You never use silver. It's full of mercury.
Oh, silver.
Get a stainless steel spoon.
Okay.
Surgical steel spoon's best. But that's mercury. You're eating mercury every time you eat that. Sell it for silver. It's good silver, but it's dirty silver.
Dirty silver.
It means there's mercury in it. It's about probably 25% mercury,
Oh my God.
probably 10% tin.
Oh my
All
God.
poison.
Shit. So where
Never
do I,
use silver.
where could I just get a stainless steel spoon, you said?
Yeah, stainless steel, you buy them anywhere.
Stainless steel.
Yeah, you could sell that. That's silver or something.
Oh, okay. Where do I sell it? But it's dirty. They're not going to take it like this.
Oh, yeah, they will. Because they melt it down.
Where do I sell it?
You have to look for people who buy silver.
Who buy
There's people who buy gold, there's people who buy silver.
There's a lot of us right now.
Okay.
They're listening to people out there.
Yeah, really. I sold a whole set of silverware that I got. I wasn't about to use it. I sold it. I took my $600 and.
Oh God, okay. It's a stainless steel spoon I've got to get.
Yeah,
No wonder I can't think clearly. I'm a mess here. My brain. I don't know what to say. The least.